Welcome back, everybody, to a fun-filled episode of Left Side, Strong Side. I'm your host, Chance Ellison. Next to me is my co-host, Mike Deacon, the only person on this fucking stream who gets to feel joy this week.
Yeah.
I don't know what's happening. I don't get it. But here we are.
It's 2022 NFL season. I don't think anyone knows what's going on with anything right now, with like one or two exceptions. It's a wild year. What a time to be alive.
Yeah. But we are not here breaking down all this action alone. You know this man, spin from the real Watt movies. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Matt Thomas. How you doing, Matt?
I'm right with you, Chance. I'm big sad.
Yeah, we are both big sad right now. But Matt, for the people at home, when we bring guests on, we like to ask, well, who is your football team?
Well, for those who don't know, it's the better of the two teams that Chance and I root for, and that's the Cleveland Browns.
How many Super Bowls do you have?
Winningest team before the meaningless title of Super Bowl was added. Keep that in mind.
You got Jim Brown, and that's it.
Let's be honest. And let's be honest. If Art Modell wasn't a damned idiot, we probably would have some of the first few Super Bowls. I don't know if you know the history of Jim Brown retiring, but he was making Towering Inferno.
Yep.
He was making the Dirty Dozen at the time.
Okay, but fact of the matter is, he just said, "Hey, can you give me an extra week?" And Modell's like, "Nah, I'll fine you if you're not at training camp by tomorrow." So he showed up and retired.
Yep, like a G.
That is why he's the GOAT.
I mean, he's out. He's in the conversation. I do love me some Jim Brown. But we are not here to talk about that. We are here to talk about all the action of the current NFL season. But before we get into that, there's something I do want to highlight real quick. We don't really talk about the collegiate level very often, but there is one play I did want to highlight from the OU Texas game. Keep in mind, let's set this up. OU was down 21-0. They had to do something, so they reached way deep in the bag of tricks to pull out something. Why am I bringing up this play, you might ask? Well, take a look.
And they don't.
Hey, I believe I can. Stupid! You're so stupid!
Because fuck you, that's why.
I didn't even get to see this. Oh, wow.
Yeah, watching it in real time, it was something. But anyway, let's get into some real NFL action, and I use real action very loosely for this first game because we got to talk about Thursday night football. Now, look,
do we have to?
Yes, we do. Because you know what? Because we have to. Yes, we are going to talk about the Colts versus the Broncos. Why? I had to watch the entire goddamn game. That's why. Plain in shorts. Let's get this out of the way. Both teams absolutely useless with the ball,
except Alec Pierce apparently.
Except Alec Pierce, who for some reason couldn't be stopped. Yes, we were forced to watch this game for 4 quarters and the final score ended up being it was leaning toward the Broncos. Ugly win, like let's be real, they all have been at this point. But then Russell Wilson throws a crucial interception in the end zone. Colts take that. They decide now's a good time for their offense to wake up, and so we are now being forced to watch overtime. Highlight of the game, easily this play right here.
Play action, Wilson going deep downfield.
Not sure who gets the stats for that. I've never seen a double catch on a play before. But we because football gods hate us right now. We were forced into overtime.
This is the worst overtime game I have ever seen.
This is one of the worst games of football on a professional level that I have ever seen.
I was one of the few fortunate enough to be stuck at work while this game was going on.
Oh, you're lucky.
The best though, I am a huge Al Michaels fan. I've always loved Al Michaels. I think he's one of the best sportscasters of all time. He was losing his mind watching that game. The sarcasm coming out of that man's mouth he did not want to be anywhere but in that building right then.
He had so many one-liners, and it's just, oh my God. Yeah, I had nothing. I felt bad. Because I saw everybody was tweeting out the one-liners afterwards. It was just like, oh my God.
Just the tone in his voice. It was, I've This week, I'm not going to lie, we're going to talk about this week's games. I intentionally bought a ticket to see Halloween ends at the same time as Thursday Night Football. But I wish I had done that last week.
Yeah. But as we're going, so it looks like we're going towards a tie towards the end of the game. We're looking at a final score of 9-9.
9-9.
They're both losers.
That was the attitude everybody watched this game. But the Broncos are driving and they're looking to finally put us out of our misery. Colts score a field goal. Broncos driving on the field. They have to score either a field goal or a touchdown to keep this going. It looks like they're going to finally put us out of our misery. They get down to about like the inside the 10.
Yeah, they were in the red zone. Yeah.
Yeah. It was 4th and 1. Now you think, what are they going to do? Are they going to kick it? They're right there. I mean, we don't want them to kick it. We want them to end our misery. But they decide to run and play offensively, which, hey, the whole thing after the whole, fourth quarter of the first game, let Russ cook. We did. And Russell Wilson manages to miss a wide open receiver.
Oh, my God. He was so wide, like beyond wide open.
Yeah, Kendall Hinton was fucking pissed. Keep in mind, they were 4th and 1. I know you don't have Javonte Williams, but you have Melvin Gordon, who can get you a yard.
He's serviceable. I think if any rookie head coach's hot seat has to be hot, or first year head coach with the team, it's Hackett. Like McDaniels, at least his teams have been in their games.
They've been competitive.
Still knows how to manage the game, but Hackett doesn't know how to manage the game for Jack Diddley squad.
No, absolutely not. And I think a former teammate of Russell Wilson put it best in the final post game interviews.
On the final play, you got to run the ball again. 1 yard. You need 1 yard. Run the ball. Run the ball. All he has to do is run the football. God dang it! Run the dang ball. Run the ball.
I will say.
Yeah,
you think Sherman's still haunted by the second Super Bowl?
Oh no! Here's the thing. This was Richard Sherman. This was going on in his head watching this play go down. Sherman getting out like years of aggression and years of like pent up resentment out in that like 2 minutes.
Perfect use of Howard Shore, by the way. Perfect use of Howard Shore.
That was my first thought. I got to make like a Vietnam flashback. But yeah, so the Colts managed to win. We are all petitioning Congress so both these teams get losses, and that everybody who watched this game get at least a free year of Amazon Prime. It was that bad.
It was terrible. That was just god awful.
Well, now moving on to our Sunday slate. First of which, hopping over to the other side of the pond, we have London Bowl Part 2. Yep, we had the Giants taking on the Packers. The Giants, who are actually like not looking that bad, but let's be real, we're there against the Packers. Here's where the genius of play calling comes into question.
Ew, yeah.
Yeah. Now, the first half, Packers are doing great.
Mm-hmm. They dominated the first half.
Yeah, they dominated the first half, up 17-3 going in the third quarter. Yet, for some inane reason, the play call completely changes.
It's all about halftime adjustments, though. Like, that's always been the thing when it comes to football. How do you adjust after halftime? Chance, think about how many times in the past year our teams were up at halftime and then they don't make the correct second half adjustments. Yeah, he knows all too well. I don't like him right now. But it is what it is. And I'll say this. I want to know who was calling the Green Bay defense because they made Daniel Jones look like a competent quarterback, and it was scary.
Thing is, Daniel Jones didn't even do like he did decent. He was like 21 for 27 for 217. Saquon Barkley, he didn't have like the greatest game. Like he only
thought it was good enough.
Out for like a quarter. He missed
good
a
enough.
quarter.
Yeah.
So like, I can't even be upset with them for what
biggest
he did.
problem with the Packers in this game in the second half mainly for some inane reason they decided to stop running the ball.
Yeah. And they have one of the best 1-2 punches in running back in the game.
The second best 1-2 punch for running backs in the game.
One of the best between Jones and Dillon. Like the two of them are like really fantastic. You look at their stats, like they're putting up.
That's why I said second best.
They're putting up like 4 or 5 yards a carry.
Second best.
But you're doing play call where Aaron Rodgers is playing hero ball for like most.
When he doesn't have his best receiver is a rookie.
And Randall Cobb is leading the team in receptions in this game. I mean, in receiving yards, it's Randall Cobb leading the team. Randall Cobb, should have retired 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah. Well, fascinating stat for this game. This game marks the first time that Aaron Rodgers has thrown a touchdown to a first-round draft pick.
And it was Mercedes Lewis, who wasn't even drafted by the Packers.
Yeah,
but
that shows. Well, first of all, it shows what Aaron Rodgers can do. But second of all, just how much the Packers refuse to draft offensive skill positions.
I literally was going to say, like, name the outside of the quarterback position and offensive skill player that the Packers have taken in the first round.
Javon Walker, last fucking receiver the Packers took.
Yep. And how long ago was that? That's a hot minute ago. So.
I was just glad none of my Ohio State rookie receivers ended up on Green Bay because I would have cried.
They both were long gone before, Green Bay would have needed to trade it up to get them. So
so funny enough, pre-draft, and Deacon, you saw this past draft. They couldn't figure out where people were going to go. No one saw the run on receiver we saw coming. So both of them at one point were both predicted to fall to Green Bay.
That's more fallout from the Christian Kirk deal.
Mm-hmm. Because then all of a sudden there was desperation.
Receivers are getting expensive, so you gotta just get the young ones. They'll be cheap for a while.
I mean, I think that was just fallout from how the beginning of the year happened. Because let's be honest, everybody made fun of that Amari Cooper deal for a 5th-round pick. That looks like the steal of the century right now.
Oh, the Cowboys made a really bullish move on that.
They're making fun of. It's more making fun of the Cowboys for you go no making fun of the Browns for trading for Amari Cooper.
No, that was a great trade.
It was like for a day 3 pick. Who says no?
Well, no at the same time, what I'm saying by that is a lot of people felt like because of his injury history, he was going to fall off this year. So it was paying. So with the contract size, paying him too much, this, that, and the other. So that's what I mean. But you talk about Christian Kirk's, the Devontae Adams sign and trade,
the Tyreeks, the Cooper Cupps.
Exactly. It's just insane, and that's where
yeah. But either way, this is a very damning game for the Packers. They lost. Aaron Rodgers, one of the best QBs right now, lost to a team led by Daniel Jones.
Yeah, Daniel Jones, and led by Darius Slayton as the lead receiver in this game.
They
haven't heard him in 3 years.
The Giants in nearly every facet. Like they have better core group of players, better coaching, but for some reason they just completely falter in the second half. This is one of the worst halves of football I've seen Green Bay play in a long time.
Green Bay is going to struggle. The crazy thing is like if you look at their upcoming, their schedule is not difficult on paper. But
I mean,
at this point,
after. But
I'm not even touching. I'm not touching Green Bay in terms. If you're going to ask me, to put money on a game or something, I am just leaving them alone right now.
Yeah, they really need to sit down and figure this stuff out. All right, moving on to Matt, time for one of us, and I'm up first.
Oh, thank God.
Steelers versus Bills. Now, this was going to be the first start of my new Lord and Savior.
And here comes Kenny Pickett.
And you know what I will say? Kenny Pickett didn't do too bad. It's everything else that set it on fire.
No, don't set Elvin on fire. Keep going with Pickens. You forget this is my second favorite team, sir. I root for him.
I didn't know that actually.
My grandfather was born and raised in Pittsburgh, and he Cleveland transplant, so
Understood.
he root for both teams. So I kind of kept that going because he died when I was 7. So it's like, all right, at the time, 14 games out of the year, go Steelers.
Now I will say, in this game, for about a quarter and change, wasn't that bad. We were holding the Bills. We were making splash plays on defense. Here's the issue. Offensively, couldn't do anything.
But that's because of how good Buffalo's defense is.
But also I also put a lot of earners on this because I've been doing this for weeks on the Matt Canada run offense. Like, I want
him gone.
I want Matt Canada. I don't want him gone. I want Matt Canada thrown in prison. Yeah, fuck that. I want everyone named Canada thrown in prison. Yeah, fuck that. I want everyone from Canada thrown in prison.
How about you just put the entire country of Canada in prison? The country itself, just put
it in prison. Every Canadian prison now. I want everyone incarcerated for the job he's done. I want him gone. Like, leave. Get a real OC. Yeah, but look, I can't be upset here because this is look, you can count on like 2 hands the amount of games in which the Steelers have been truly outplayed in every facet of the game. This is one of them.
And this is Buffalo you're talking about. This is the team that is supposed to be. Buffalo came out and did what they were supposed to do. And we've said this, every week, that they probably are on both sides of the ball the most complete team in the NFL right now. Mm-hmm. They did exactly what they were supposed to do. They utilized all their players, and Gabe Davis on 3 catches had 171 yards. Like,
try having to play against him in fantasy this week.
Yeah. I mean, the guy who benched him in fantasy this week.
I went against Dwayne Burke in our fantasy league this week. He had 3 players put up 30 or more on me.
Damn.
So Bethany played
not 3, 6.
Wow. Bethany played against Juice, and Juice had Allen and Gabe Davis. So the score just kept skyrocketing every time that happened.
But yeah, like, I can't be that upset losing to Buffalo. And look, given our October slate, this is probably the worst it gets. But yeah,
enjoy picking another receiver next year and a first-round one this time.
I don't want to take a receiver in the first round. I want to take an O-line.
I'm about to say you need O-line, but
I want to draft an O-line in every round of the drafts. Well, maybe get a corner. Like, first 2, get O-line.
This isn't a great O-line draft though. That's the reason I was like, because Claypool doesn't look that great.
As of right now, it's also like a new offense. We got to gel together. Like he had more this week than he has in the past couple of weeks. Let's say that.
That is true. Granted, that might have to do with changing QB. The people who say that Pickett looked more competent than Mitch, I'm a fight back against because I just think Canada is a horrible play caller in general.
Yes, but you look, but I know he had to throw the ball 52 times to get there, but he still put up like 300 yards. Right. I think it's more, almost as many yards, if not more, than Mitch had in his first 3 games.
Yeah. So,
but
then again, the Steelers can't scheme on a receiver open to save their life. So.
I know. Again, that all falls back to the Matt Canada offense. We will figure that out. Mike had to step out for a little bit. He will be back momentarily. But yeah, look, I'm not going to be one of the ones calling for Mike Tomlin's job just because I do feel like he is one of the better coaches in the league, just period. But yeah, this is a team that they really just like go do some soul searching inside themselves because if they continue like this is going to be a rough season.
Well, and the thing that the Steelers have going for them right now is they ended the Mitch experience, the experiment quick enough. They know this year it's not a playoff year. Get their young players, get Pickett, experience for next year.
Pick and pick.
Let them get the growing pains out and rebuild.
Yeah, this is close to the rebuild as we're going to get to.
You're about to be in for a deep rebuild because as someone who follows the Steelers, also I don't think Pickett's the guy. I think he's here for 2 seasons and he's the guy.
He's the guy. He's my new Lord and Savior. Kenny Pickett. Well, you know what? You want to talk about the guy? Let's talk about your team, Matt. Let's talk about the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, let's talk about the guy who had 7 yards to a first down and a wide open run and throws a pick in the end zone instead.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the rookie kicker who missed 2 field goals that were shorter than his first field goal he made in the first game.
I will give you one. This is a game that we both picked the Chargers to win. However, for the first couple quarters, y'all were playing this close. At one point, y'all had a 14-0 lead.
I just want to point out we have had a lead in every
game,
the first half in every game this season.
You want to talk a team that can't finish games? That's Cleveland.
Well, yeah. Main problem with this game was this: Cleveland had no answers for Austin Eckler. Conversely, though, the Chargers had no answers for Nick Chubb.
So the issue is we don't have an interior defensive line. So if you go back and watch the film, almost every single pass, either Garrett or Clowney, if they had one more second, it's just a sack or a strip sack. But because you get no pressure from the middle, they can run all over you. I mean, look, we gave up 200 something yards rushing in the second half to the Falcons last week, and about 100 and so of it was to an undrafted practice squad guy who had just gotten the call up that day.
Mm-hmm.
Jeremy, to answer your question, yes, I still believe in Cade York.
Here's the thing: the final 2 minutes of this game
was
a potential for game of the week.
It was leaning towards that way. Yeah.
Cleveland was driving down the field. They were within range they were down by 2 points. They were already in field goal range. Jacoby Brissett drops back to take a pass. Could like Matt said, could have easily ran in there, or at least gotten close to the end zone.
You had all those other cuts. I'm shocked you didn't have a funny cut of this, because I was like, oh God, I'm gonna have to watch the Jacoby pick again. Thank God I don't.
This one slipped my mind. I did not get a cut of this. So, but he throws a backbreaker of a pick into the end zone.
It's completely wide open in front of him. He could have ran for the goddamn touchdown. It's heartbreaking.
But
we should be 5-0. Nobody saw that coming. Oh.
Surprisingly, though, you did have another chance. Why? Brandon Staley, in his infinite wisdom, while they're at their own 48-yard line, decided, you know what? It's 4th and 2. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go for it. Okay. And guess what happened? He fucking failed. All of formerly San Diego is now shitting itself.
So this isn't the first time we saw Staley do this. No, it cost the Chargers a trip to the playoffs last year.
Yep.
Yeah. And as it looks like we are in for another round of pain.
Psych!
Yes. They get in the field goal range, and formerly clutch kicker Cade York whiffs it wide.
So here, back to Cade York. I still believe in him. For those who don't know, Cleveland is a notoriously hard stadium to kick in because we're right on the lake.
The winds are.
So the winds coming off the water are just insane.
It's like that. Was Heinz Acrisure Stadium now?
Yeah.
Anywhere near a body of water is terrible to kick.
Yeah. And you guys are only by a river over there. We're by a giant ass lake between us and so it gets bad, real bad. I don't know if you remember Hard Knocks a few years ago, but Phil Dawson pointed out where he kept flags to Phil was,
and it was going it looked like a bowling ball the way that I remember that. Yeah,
I have ever since he missed the. It was the extra point, I think, week 2, when it was that really windy game, or was it week 3? It was one of the two. Misses the extra point. I've been of the belief they just need to put him in there on a windy day and bring Phil Dawson in for the day and just have him work with him, because the kid wasn't the number 1 rated kicker in the draft for nothing. There were plenty of teams who even said they were about to draft Cade York right in their next few picks, but the Browns traded up to get him. They made the right move. It's just about getting him acclimated to a city that has to deal with elements more than the South. He played at LSU. He played in the SEC. There's not a lot of that down there. So it's different temperatures, different weather. I still believe in him. He's just got to get adjusted and acclimated.
Regardless of conditions, for at least 1 week, Matt, factory reopens.
You are a factory of sadness!
No, bro, that's been open. Let's see, we lost to the Jets at home. That's been 2 weeks that it's been open.
It's still open, but it's extra open this week.
And then we have the Patriots, who are we going to run all over us this week.
Speaking of sadness factories, let's talk about Houston football. As the Texans took on the Jaguars. Remember we thought the Jags were legit for a few weeks? That was nice. Jacksonville. What the fuck? You let Davis Mills do that to you?
Well, Davis Mills didn't even do much. It was more Damian Pierce than anything.
Yeah, Mike. Remember when I told you I wanted to draft Damian Pierce? You're like, he's not going to be that good. Yeah. Mike said that to me.
Because
I say that.
I watched him at Florida a lot, and Florida never outright used him as an A back. They always did by committee. So I was like, yeah, he's never been a lead back. Boy, they should have used him as a lead back.
Yeah,
but that's what college is. It's about trying to get all those guys to shine, and running back, unless you get one of those 5-star guys, you're always going to have a running back by committee. Hell, Ohio State's got a 5-star guy, and they're still doing running back by committee for the most part.
Yeah, same thing we have. Like Houston did nothing special. And you look at Davis Mills, he only threw like 140 yards and change. Damian Pierce ran for like a little under 100 yards. I mean, this is also,
by a yard.
Yeah, also a great week for running backs. Let me say that right now. This was a fantastic week for running backs. 100-yard games from different people. Incredible. But mainly this ball is more on Jacksonville. Trevor Lawrence reverted back to 2021 form.
He did. This is a game. I've said this with other games before. Houston did not win this game. Jacksonville lost this game.
Yep.
Yeah. Lovey Claus gets his first win as head coach of the Houston Texans. Hooray.
If I'm Lovey Claus, I would have just gone for another L and be like, hey, let's just go get Bryce Young or actually, I'm not a Bryce Young fan. Let's go get Will Levis or Stroud from Ohio State.
They are still assembling one of the finest crafted tanks I've been trying. Here's the problem, though. Because of this win, they now lose the number 1 pick.
They're in third pick, if I'm not mistaken, right? They're the third pick, yeah.
We will see if they can maintain their quest for the top overall draft pick. But they have to. Well, there's another team that we thought was going to be in the conversation. For some reason, they are delusional. It's the Chicago Bears taking on the Minnesota Vikings.
Like the Bears are so. I don't know how they've been as competitive as they've been with all of their woes. Their offense and Fields is. I liked Fields coming into the season. It just hasn't clicked with them.
Here's my thing. I don't think they've given him the opportunity until this week to show that it's clicking. On top of it, he doesn't have a line. Like he hasn't been able to throw
as
passes.
bad as Pittsburgh's. Yeah, that's as bad as Pittsburgh's.
Probably worse, honestly.
Yeah, no, definitely worse. This is the best I've seen him play at the NFL level so far. Like the dude, like what didn't do anything special, but like this is the most efficient game I've seen him play at the NFL level.
Yeah. It's rough because they traded their first for this past year to get him, and they should have. I get that they're trying to avoid Minnesota getting him, but
Minnesota, though, you look at them right now. Even if
that's
they
exactly what I was about to say.
Like Minnesota is set up that they are almost a quarterback proof team with the way they're set up. Yeah, they have a run game. They've got two
Dalvin Cook and also Justin Jefferson, who the Bears defense just decided, he's just gonna have carte blanche all day.
Yeah.
To be fair though, that's just, and I actually had this conversation with Winston because we were talking about the Rams and how they look off. That's because Kevin McConnell's the head coach and he's a great offensive mind.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Again, I've said it before, I'll say it again. firing Mike Zimmer was the best decision they could have made in the offseason.
Yes. And hiring Kwesi Mensah-Adofo.
Yeah, I do like Kwesi. I like that guy quite a bit. You need to move on from Kirk Cousins, but that'll happen in time.
And the Vikings, they're a team that does not have a distinct weakness. They are a solid, pretty much all around. Offense is one of the more consistent. It's not flashy by any means, but they get the job done, and they've got an above-average defense too. So they're going to stay competitive all year. And right now in that division, it looks like they could potentially run away with it.
Yeah, I mean, considering, well, they don't play prime time ever again in the season.
Right.
Their grades. Prime time is going to be an issue, but we'll cross it when we come to it. Yeah, right now they are running away with the NFC North, and that's just odd to say.
Yeah.
You ever thought a division and I think this is officially put to end the conversation of who's better, Rodgers or Brady when we talk about the NFC North, because Rodgers would make it work with those wide receivers. He's made it work with, or it's not Rodgers, Brady. Brady would make it work with with those wide receivers.
What do you have? We've seen him not make it work with those receivers. We saw him not make it work with those receivers against Brady. Against Rodgers.
But I mean, he's still games here and there. Yeah, but overall, Rodgers, we're 5 weeks in. Outside of Romeo Doubs and Randall Cobb, he hasn't been able to do much.
And even Dobbs is not they're definitely shown they are not completely in sync right now. So Cobb is the only one that I think that Rodgers feels confident throwing to.
I think he was confident Lazard. He'll give Lazard.
I'll give you that. Yes.
Well, Lazard's been there for how many years, and he's still the fact that he's the number one receiver, and with all the years of experience he has with them, they should be more in sync, and they're not. That's why I'm just not feeling Rodgers. Regret drafting him in one of my fantasy leagues as a trade chip.
I mean, I took Joe Burrow. He's not doing too hot either. I knew I shouldn't have done it. Moving on. Well, let's go over to another NFC North team. Let's talk about the Detroit Lions.
What a number one offense in the NFL getting shut down by a Patriots defense.
What the hell happened?
Bill Belichick.
I was about to say they played a Patriots defense. That's exactly what happened.
Well, Jared Goff ran into his Achilles heel. Miss ya, Belichick.
Mm-hmm.
For some reason, this guy just knows Jared Goff. Keep in mind, this was the number one scoring offense.
Yes.
In the league a few weeks ago. Got completely shut out by the Patriots.
I mean, they were still missing Swift, and St. Brown definitely was not 100%, but that's no excuses. They had 2 weeks ago, TJ Hawkinson went for 179, and this week he had one catch. They couldn't get anything going anywhere. Jamal Williams got very little going on the ground. They used, to the best of their ability, Josh Reynolds and Craig Reynolds did okay, but they were not good enough to carry you from that far of a deficit. And you've got on the opposite side, you've got Bailey Zappi.
You mean Tom Brady too?
Yeah. He's Tom Brady 3.
Yeah.
Fair.
Mac Jones is 2.
Yep.
Fair.
And all of a sudden you've got the injury to Damian Harris allows Ramondre Stevenson to say, okay, it's my time. And Ramondre Stevenson now looking like a game changer.
But knowing Belichick, he won't get into the carry until week 17.
There's going to be somebody else who's on a practice squad right now, probably not even on the Patriots roster, who's going to get 100 yards this week. So
don't say that. Don't say that.
But the offense failed to do anything. They went 0 for 6 in fourth down conversions. First time that's ever happened in NFL history.
Mm-hmm.
Dan Campbell might never try a fourth down conversion again.
I don't know. This is Dan Campbell you're talking about.
This is Dan Campbell. He's never gone against Bill Belichick until now.
He's gonna, or if he doesn't, he's gonna start biting off some kneecaps.
Somebody's kneecap. There was no biting kneecaps today. And also, we talked about it last week, but yes, what the fuck is defense when it comes to the Detroit Lions?
They are so bad.
Yes.
Another level bad.
We got to see their defensive coordinator in Hard Knocks. he sucks.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean,
Like,
I like AG as a person, but maybe not the
Yep.
greatest DC.
No, I don't think so.
I sit there and laugh because I'm watching Hard Knocks this year, and I'm like, maybe it's just because the offense knows that defense so well. Nope, that's just every offense can tear that defense apart.
That defense is just bad. I don't know if it's talent or
Well,
coaching or
they had
both. Could be both.
Two of the biggest defensive prospects in the past couple of years, Okudah and Hutchinson, and they're doing nothing.
Yeah. I think that it's the team that needs to. I'm very curious what they do next because they have 2 first-round picks next year because of the Stafford trade. I'm very curious what they end up doing. Like, do they go quarterback? Do they have Jared Goff another year?
They'll probably go quarterback and use Goff as a bridge. That's the most likely situation.
I agree.
And then
I feel
with
like
the Rams
they're
pick,
concerned with them.
They go best defensive player pretty much. The Rams pick is, it's going to be probably in the double digits. Well, who knows? But probably in the double digits.
I was about to say, as of right now, it's not looking like it's double digits.
Yeah, but
it's still probably
you figure they could pretty much take any defensive position and upgrade. So they're in a best available defensive player. I'd imagine they don't need wide receiver. They don't need running back. They don't need tight end. Their offense, aside from quarterback, is actually pretty solid. They got to go best.
I would say they need a secondary receiver because Amon-Ra St. Brown can't do it alone. And
Jameson Williams.
And they do have Jameson Williams. They already have
I keep forgetting they drafted Jameson. John Dorsey would kill me.
Yeah, they hasn't played.
Yeah.
But yeah, moving
I rescind
on.
my statement.
Speaking of teams that have just come away with a King's Ransom draft pick, let's talk about the Seattle Seahawks versus the Saints. For me, at least,
let Gino cook. Gino Philly cheesesteak.
Let Gino cook. Yeah.
Let Taysom cook.
Oh yeah, no. The story of this was one man, Taysom Hill, the greatest player in the NFL,
the greatest running back of all time.
Finished the day with let me get the stats for you right here. 9 carries for 112 yards and 3 touchdowns.
And a passing touchdown.
Only 3 players in the National Football League to have a 3 touchdown game.
That's how a white man runs a football.
And the thing is, he's doing this technically being listed as a tight end.
Oh.
Yeah, he had 3 touchdowns on the ground. He passed for 1 touchdown, which around the same amount of touchdowns that Andy Dalton passed for on the day, and he recovered a fumble. It's one of the most insane single game performances I have ever seen from one player.
Yeah. Chris Olave went out with a concussion and screwed up my fantasy this week. He was having a day too. He was having a nice little day. You're like, oh, he might put up over 20 points. Concussion. By the way, can we talk about this new concussion protocol? This BS.
We'll talk about it when we get to the next game.
Okay.
We'll talk about
Because there's, I know where you're coming from.
There's a much more obvious candidate to talk about this with. But yeah, so keep in mind, and Seahawks, Geno Smith, this is a team that it might be the biggest surprise of the NFL season because they may be 2-3. Not doing nearly as bad as I thought they would.
No, and they're doing this. They still have 2 insanely talented wide receivers. They do, and now they might have lost their stud running back, but they look like they have another one ready to come. Yeah,
the Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away, because I have him in fantasy football too, and I was like, I might have lost Olave, but I now know I can start Kenneth Walker for the rest of the season. Yes.
Yeah, Penny had a break, so he's out for the year. So
yes, he did. I mean, Penny is gone.
I mean, Chance was well aware of my fantasy strategy in my Dynasty Money League. The
fact that you had the entire first round was you. That's why I was floored. Like the entire first round was you.
Yeah, I turned my last 3rd round pick and future picks, because who needs rookies when you drafted all rookies this past year?
Right.
To I turned Dobbs and future picks into Deshaun Watson. So
yeah, well, kind of like your actual team. Basically, Jared Miller said best in the chat. Defense was non-existent for Seattle. It's been non-existent for a long time. They put up Andy Dalton led New Orleans to 40 points on the game. That's inexcusable.
this is not the Legion of Boom days, and they haven't been for like 3 or 4 seasons now.
time.
It wasn't as obvious until last year. They definitely showed the cracks. This year, it's blatant. But their days of being a defensive powerhouse are behind them. But Geno Smith, you got to give him credit. This is on paper should be the 31st or 32nd ranked quarterback in the league, and is playing better than half the quarterbacks in the NFL right now.
So how much longer do you think Pete Carroll's actually going to be in Seattle?
Honestly, given how he's doing right now, he might be on next season. I thought he'd be done after this year. He might come on next season. I have a feeling.
I was going to say, I think he'll be. I think after next season, he's probably out.
Yeah, because if he's doing, he's not doing bad with Geno Smith. I feel like he might come on kind of mentor the new QB going forward.
See, but you don't want to do that because you want your new coach to have the QB.
Right.
I
kind of agree with that.
I mean, we'll see how much longer he stays on, but yeah, I mean, this is a case where if Seattle can develop a defense, they might be actually in good shape. Surprisingly, more so than the Broncos right now, which is alarming to me.
Oof.
Yeah, we'll talk about the gush broke all of this game because our next game we're talking about is your boys, Mike, the Dolphins versus the Jets. Yeah, now in this game, Teddy Bridge did start, but he went down with a concussion protocol because, quote unquote, a ref saw him stumble. Video came out from that. I didn't see him stumble. I didn't see it.
Same thing happened to Denzel Ward.
Yeah, I don't think he stumbled. Like, he got hit hard, and when he got up, like if he was doing anything, he was holding his ribs when he got hit because Sauce hit him pretty hard. Yeah, but it was a clean hit though. Like it wasn't like an illegal hit or anything. It was just a clean right to the chest.
Nice hit.
Yeah, he was taken out of the game. So the Dolphins' new QB is now Skylar Thompson, a 7th round pick out of this year's draft. The rest of the game went as bad as well as you think it would. But because I feel bad for anybody who had Tyreek or Jalen Waddle. Tyreek not so much, but more Jalen Waddle in fantasy.
Well, no, Tyreek, you gotta feel bad for because he left in a boot, if I remember reading.
He did. He did not finish the game.
I do feel bad for anybody who had any receivers for the Dolphins because offensively they just couldn't do anything. Raheem Mostert was the only bright spot.
I was about to say Mostert was a bright spot for the Dolphins, and for teams playing the Jets, looking at the Packers this week, you can run against that defensive line. Mostert, Mostert. Don't get me wrong, I like Mostert a lot. I think he's a very good running back, but by comparison, he's not elite. And he put up 113 rushing yards, and if somebody like that can do that, that's the blueprint to beat them. But on the opposite side, look at what the Jets run game did. Breece Hall had himself a game.
Almost 200 yards from scrimmage.
Glad I took him in fantasy on this man's opinion.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Breece Hall is, like right now, it's a lot of teams are looking foolish for letting him fall to the second round. And the Jets pouncing, moving up to get him looks genius right now. He's easily right now, I would say, at this point in the season, you have to put him in the offensive rookie of the year conversation.
100%. 100%.
I do want to say Zach Wilson's in my shit house because this dude doesn't know how to pass to his best receiver and Garrett Wilson.
I'm like, what did you bang your mom too? Like, what's
No, but he needs to learn how to pass to Garrett Wilson. We need the Wilson squared connection because that is the best receiver on the Jets.
100%.
As someone who's had to sit through watching the breakout game, that's the best receiver on the Jets, and he's.
Keep in mind, like last year, and it showed again this week. It wasn't maybe quite as much. Wilson still the first game he played, didn't look like quite himself against the Steelers, and then he just showed up in the fourth quarter. But it's Corey Davis is his safety blanket. Like he's always looking for Davis on the field, and Davis is probably the third or maybe even fourth, most talented wide receiver on that team right now.
Yep.
But I will say, this game made me reevaluate how I thought about Tua. Why? Look how useless this offense is without him.
Yep, they were terrible. Now, keep in mind, you have Waddle and Hill going against, shockingly, one of the best cornerback duos in the NFL right now in DJ Reed and Sauce Gardner, and they just don't allow big plays. They'll give you 5 yards, but you're not getting much more against either one of those guys. And Reed's becoming a pick machine. Gardner had a pick in the game. If you need the third option as a receiver against the Jets, like you need the good receiving tight end or a third wide receiver, because if you're throwing against either one of those two, it's probably not going to end well.
But yeah, Mike, congratulations. You have snapped a 12-game skid.
Yeah.
A 12-game losing streak versus the AFC East.
And it was also the first time all season that we had a lead that wasn't in the fourth quarter.
Yeah. Moving on to our 1 p.m. slate. I believe this was 1 p.m. Talking about the Falcons versus the Buccaneers.
The Bucs are such a...
1 p.m. for you. You threw me off for a minute.
Yeah,
for me, yes.
The Bucs are they're tough to watch this year.
Well, that's what happens when you lose your starting center, another starting offensive lineman. They have no protection. They can't really do much. Brady's struggling.
Leonard Fournette is carrying that offense.
Yeah. Again, much like many games in his career, they are winning. Not many games in his career, many big in his career. The Bucs are winning despite Tom Brady, not because of him.
Right.
But I do want to highlight this game for one particular reason. It's been the talk of the NFL world right now. It's this play right here where Brady drops back, and you look at this play and think he was tackled in the backfield. This legitimate sack was called roughing the passer. Why? Because it's a sin to touch Brady in the NFL.
It's a sin to touch any quarterback nowadays, and it's getting ridiculous.
And the sad thing is that wasn't even the worst one of the weekend. As sad as it is,
I think this was the worst.
No, last night was a 1A and a 1B strip sack. Last night was a strip sack.
Okay, that's fair.
It's a 1A 1B situation, but these are two of the worst, roughing the passer calls you're ever gonna see.
Yeah. But this is the Falcons. They would have let's be real, they would have blown this game anyway. They would have found a way to lose this game no matter what. It is this week they had the help of the refs. At this point, though, if you're the Falcons, do you just try and put Ritter in? Can't much worse.
Yes, please. Because Mariota is not good.
You know what Mariota is.
If you're only able to throw 15 to 20 passes with your starting quarterback, guess what you have? Baker fucking Mayfield.
Oh, we'll get there later.
But my point is, that's as good as you're gonna get, and I'm talking like 2021 Baker, 2020 Baker, where he actually did well, not
2021 Baker.
No, it's 2020 because 2021 is when he had the injury.
Oh yeah, no, I'm saying like rather than 2021 Baker.
Yeah. But like we saw Ritter, like Pickett, played well in the preseason.
That's what I was about to say. Is the Falcons really, at this point, I think they still think they have a chance in this division, which is crazy. I mean, they still technically do, but they really should follow Pittsburgh's lead, get Ritter in there, see if Ritter's the guy, and if he's not, they'll have a high draft pick.
And hey, here's another idea. Stop using, I know he was out this week, but stop using Kyle Pitts just to block. Make blocks.
You're using your first round pick to block?
Yep. Yeah, and this week they couldn't establish anyone. That there's nobody on the offense of Atlanta that really did anything of note.
Remember when they thought Drake London was going to be Rookie of the Year?
It was looking like for a little bit. He still could.
I still like Drake London. Now, Bucs have a very good defense. They do. Yes. So you can't count this game completely against him for the season. But I definitely think at this point, with the current quarterback situation and the way that they're set up with their lack of other offensive weapons right now, Drake London's chances of getting Offensive Rookie of the Year are diminishing by the minute.
Yeah, so it's rough game for the Falcons, but I mean, yeah, what did you expect this year? Moving on, we got this was an interesting one. We got the Titans versus the Commanders, and you know who's returning this week. King Henry once again rumbling with The Rock.
Overrated.
As good. Boy, He gonna find you. He's gonna find you.
Really? Because he hasn't been able to run on the Browns in the past few games that he's played them.
I can't recall the stats against the Browns. I really can't. Did he play him last year, or was it after he was hurt?
I think it was last year and the year before, and each time they
like,
held him to like under 70. So
the point is he's not playing the Browns. He's playing the Commies, and yeah, Commies can't do much of anything. So much so that Ron Rivera throwing his QB under the bus.
Oh my God, that was the best comment I've saw in any of the post game like at all this week. So why is your team not winning, quarterback?
Matt had to step out for a bit. What do you think? Like, Carson Wentz isn't doing that bad, especially compared to Tannehill. Tannehill only put up like 200 plus yards, like a little under 200 yards on the day.
And the Titans have come back to the football that had them winning games the past couple of years. They've gone back to their formula of run first, and then it opens up when they're running 3 out of 4 plays, all of a sudden it's opening up the passing game. And, Tannehill has never been a gunslinger by any stretch of the imagination, but when they have Henry running as effectively as he is, all of a sudden it's opening up lanes for him that, like when they played the Giants week 1, just weren't there.
Yeah. Another part of this though is like with Carson Wentz, he did have a costly interception, and also had 3 fumbles. Didn't lose any of them,
right?
But still, like not when he can't hold on to the ball.
And they're a plucky team. Like the Commanders are, they're good enough to stay competitive. It's just, are they good enough to win? That's like the biggest thing with them right now. They have some really, their weapons on offense are not bad. And Brian Robinson coming back is going to help them in the long run.
Which was nice. It was nice to see him come back. And in of course, the most Washington move possible. His biggest run on the day was called back for holding.
Yep. He's going to be exciting. I'm rooting for Brian Robinson, definitely. And I think that they're going to get a little bit more of a run game going, which, it was kind of obvious. Gibson, I don't know why he just fizzled out so fast in his career. He started so good. I mean, I know he was primarily used in the passing game in college and came to the Washington football team or the Redskins, whatever, now the Commanders, and was used primarily in, as the traditional running back because they have McKissick. But I think Brian Robinson's the traditional running back that they've needed on that team.
Yeah. So in terms of running backs, I think what happened with Gibson is just the fumbles and when the lack of trust in the coaching staff after that. But that's what happens when you turn a guy who's primarily, like you said, been a passing target and trying to turn him into a running back. As someone who drafted Brian Robinson while already having Gibson and McKissick, I'm glad that I got some safety nets there. But I think Robinson, as we've seen, it doesn't matter where an Alabama running back is drafted.
They translate. They translate to the NFL. And I going to the Alabama connection.
Well, outside of Trent Richardson.
That's a major anomaly.
Because even Eddie Lacy, when he was able to keep his weight down, was a successful running back.
Cheeseburger Eddie, baby. Let's go.
But like you talk about I also saw if you watched after the game, Derrick Henry ran right over to Robinson, to do a jersey swap with him, which, major sign of respect. Obviously they had the connection, but
Can we talk about how funny it was that the interception happened? And they're like, okay, we're just going to call it game. And the rest are like, no, he was down by – there's 5 seconds on the clock. Just call it game. Half these players took their jerseys off and swapped with each other already. Half these players went in the goddamn locker room.
Yep.
That was like the most like insulting thing I've seen that week.
Like the players are already set. Oh, wait, I got to give this back. I put it back on. Like –
But yeah, Tennessee, like I said, getting back to the football that actually made the contenders to begin with.
Yeah, I agree. Again, they're very similar to me to the Vikings in that when they play the game the way that they should win more than they lose.
Yeah. Now talking about another team who was actually in a very similar spot, the 49ers versus the Panthers. And once again, I'll ask what I asked last week. Baker, what the hell is wrong with you?
I'm not a Baker fan. I'm not a Baker bro. I was glad we got rid of him. Both of you do. However, and I've said this since watching the Browns play against them in the first 3 games of the season. You want to know why he was successful for those couple of years under Stefanski, or had somewhat success? Because Stefanski knew how to use him.
Right.
McAdoo does not. McAdoo has him do 3-step dropbacks and pass.
Yep.
He's a dwarf. He's 6 feet tall. Right now he leads the league in batted passes. You want to know why? Because you're not rolling him out or putting him in a position where he can actually see his goddamn receivers.
Yeah, he leads the league in batted passes. He currently
Yep.
has the worst QBR of any starting quarterback. And at a certain point in this game, he's actually taken out for PJ Walker.
And he actually injured his ankle. That's why he's taken out.
And
That's
PJ
right.
Walker will be starting this week.
Oh God!
But
Baker is out.
Yeah, CMC couldn't do anything. DJ Moore once again proving to be a bust because bad quarterback play. 49ers didn't do anything special. Debo didn't do much. Jeff Wilson Jr. had a great game.
Jeff Wilson had a good game. Jeff Wilson had a real good game. He seemed unstoppable. He ran angry.
Yeah, when Elijah Mitchell's back, that's a scary team on the ground.
Yeah, that's a good 1-2 punch right there, because Jeff Wilson has definitely proven himself at this point that he belongs on the field. And if Mitchell plays the way he did last year and you got the two of them like rotating reps, that's scary.
Yeah. But with this game, with the 1-4 start, we officially have our first casualty in the coaching chair. Matt Rule, as we all call him, has been fired.
So long, farewell, I'll be the same.
Get the fuck out of here!
And now Matt Rule is the Bobby Bonilla of head coaches in the NFL. He will be collecting $800,000 plus a month for the next 4 years on that contract.
4 years.
$800,000 a month for the next 4 years.
$894,000 to be exact.
Yeah, he is being paid $800,000 a month to not coach the Carolina Panthers.
And he's probably going to get a college job that'll pay for next season.
Oh, absolutely.
He's probably a great candidate for that Wisconsin job right now. And that's probably going to pay him an extra $3 million a year. So he's going to be
interim head coach right now is Steve Wilkes, the guy responsible for Josh Rosen.
No, not the man responsible for Josh Rosen. Not Steve Wilkes. No, it is still. I'm saying he is not responsible for Josh Rosen. The dumbass GM who's still hired by the Cardinals is responsible for Josh Rosen. Steve Wilkes was the scapegoated black guy, and he has gone on record about how he was not put in a position to succeed. Unlike Hugh Jackson, he said his piece and moved on with his life. That tells you who really is telling the truth. Just putting that out there, and I love taking shots at Hugh Jackson.
What happened to do responsible for Josh Rosen?
He didn't want him.
He was still there.
Sometimes he
was Lamar,
head coach. So Lamar was still let's be honest. What are you gonna do? He's like, hey, we need a QB because we just lost Carson Palmer. I'm gonna draft this guy who they're saying could be good, and
9 mistakes.
Yeah, you got to live with
Josh Rosen
that.
was at least 8 of them.
Yeah. So
the second worst, I would say, just behind the Ryan Leaf pick. That is the worst quarterback pick of all time.
Not Jamarcus Russell.
Jamarcus Russell.
Okay.
Which, by the way, rewinding to the last game, the fact that Baker Mayfield has the worst QBR since Jamarcus Russell? That's what you forgot. Since Jamarcus Russell, and it's only by It's only by 2 percentage points more that he's better.
Yeah, he is really not making. He's not making a case for himself. For future
Bob McAdoo isn't making a good case for him.
Neither's Ben McAdoo. Let's be real.
Yeah.
Moving on to our next game. This is what we are dubbing our upset of the week. There were two votes. Houston. But there were 2 games time between. Houston versus Jacksonville was 1, but ultimately out the tiebreaker and decided to settle on the Cowboys versus the Rams. Keep in mind, this is a Rams team looking to run it back, and this is a Cowboys team who is still starting.
Discount Wentz.
The Achilles heel of any team, I guess, because for some reason, competent football goes out the window and Cooper Rush is on the field.
Who would have thought Discount Wentz would, like, you know, give him a 4 or help get him 4 wins? Just
It's not him, though. It's that defensive line. Their
Yes, it
pass
is.
rush is beastly right now.
it's
I
not
don't
the
know-
defensive
I don't know
line.
if this
It's
is
that
more-
defensive coordinator. Same guy
Yeah.
behind the Legion of Boom.
I don't know. I don't know if this says more about the Cowboys defense, which they are doing well.
It's a combo.
It's a combo of that and also the
The
Rams.
Rams.
Are fucking atrocious now.
We've
Hey,
said
fuck-
two other
fuck them
O-lines.
picks didn't work this year.
We said, this is the third team we mentioned O-line killing them. And this one, I think, out of all the ones, this is a team that should be winning. And their O-line is literally probably the main cause of why they're not.
They lose a star left tackle in Andrew Whitworth.
One of the
Whoever
best.
whoever thought Austin Corbett being lost would actually mean anything, because I'm
Right.
shocked that it does. Like, it's an adjustment period. Like, what can you do? It also doesn't help that they lost Von Miller on that defense, so they're missing some extra pressure. I'm pretty sure.
It doesn't help that Al Robinson is still missing. He's still technically missing.
His stat lines are just so ridiculous.
I think that's a similar situation to where Stafford just hasn't figured out how to throw to him yet. One, well, in a game, I should say.
Yeah.
And two, when your quarterback doesn't have time to throw, what are your receiver stats supposed to be? So I understand, like, Cooper Rush is a safety blanket. That's the number one wide receiver in the NFL. Like, yeah, be my safety blanket in this position too. That's what I said. Cooper Kupp is a safety blanket.
You said Rush.
Oh, Jesus Christ, I'm tired.
Too many Coopers.
Too many white boys. No offense, Mike.
Too many white Coopers in the league. but looking at the stat line, Stafford was sacked 5 times on the day. He was stripped twice and lost both of them.
Yep.
And he was pressured
and one for a TD.
Pressured 37 times.
Yeah.
And with this in mind, the Rams only had like 38 yards of rushing. So
their rushing game is terrible.
He was pressured as many times as they had rushing yards.
Yep. That's insane. Then look at the Rams. They have Cam Akers, they have Darrell Henderson, and they're doing it. And they have Brandon Powell, correct?
Powell, yeah.
Rams, right? Yeah. And Powell's quick. Powell's super quick, and they can't do anything because of that offensive line.
Hey, Rams, you give me a 3rd round pick, I'll send you Dearness Johnson. Both games he started have been for over 100 yards.
They'll probably trade you 2 first-rounders for Dredger at this point.
No, he's playing improved at this point. I don't need that. We don't need that.
But all credit does have to go to the Cowboys defense for the whole season so far, because their defense has stepped up so big this year. Micah Parsons is.
Michael was out this week too, if I remember correctly.
No, he played.
He played, but
okay.
he left the game briefly, if I'm not mistaken. But he played.
2 sacks, but I think again, when you get him against these different lines, we'll talk about it this week, because I do a bold prediction for Micah Parsons coming up next. But this win is on the Cowboys defense, not the offense. You look at Cooper Rush. Cooper Rush only had 100 yards of passing.
Mm-hmm.
And one of their touchdowns was a broken play by Pollard that he went. Well, I forget the exact what it was, 56 yards or something like that on the one play.
Yep.
And he broke 2 really poor tackles to do that. So there's one play that really made the difference. And Cooper Rush basically was like, okay, just don't turn the ball over and you're fine.
This offense is kind of idiot proof in a lot of ways. Just because just get it to CD, get it to Pollard, get it to somebody. Don't turn the ball over. And Dallas didn't do that.
How do you explain Dak then?
I said idiot proof. Well, draw your conclusion there.
Dak plays hero ball. Like for right now, I said this last week on the show. Like having Cooper Rush has made them go back to formula, and they're not making the mistakes they made with Dak. It's not the most exciting offense in football, but they're also not turning the ball over, and they're game managing way better than they ever did with Dak. Dak is obviously a much better quarterback than Rush, but with their game plan that they've executed with Rush, it's turned the team. It's helping accentuate their strengths, which is obviously their defense is being allowed to do what they do, and then they're just holding the ball. They're not giving it to the other team.
Exactly.
And for this Cowboys team, that's the way to go.
So, question I have for you guys is, what does Jerry sell Zeke for this offseason?
I mean, nothing. He gets released.
His contract, yeah.
You really think Jerry's going to eat all that?
Yes, absolutely. Like he would have been cut this year if it wasn't for that contract. At the end of the season, unless he has a massive turnaround, which doesn't look like it's happening because Tony Pollard is king, he's getting cut.
I got a bold prediction. I have a feeling the Rams will give up at least a third or fourth for him this season. They need the help.
I know they need the help, but that'd be stupid, honestly.
Can they afford him? Like I don't know if they have the cap space.
Salary cap's a myth, Mike. Salary cap's a myth. Because you want to know how teams get around that? Yeah, well, let's just convert this guy's entire salary to a signing bonus. This year.
Yeah.
Or like Taysom Hill. You're gonna sign a $120 million contract for 6 years, but every year is voidable.
Right.
How does that work?
Yeah. So it's. I mean. How that trade like that would probably work is the Cowboys would probably have to agree to eat most of this year's salary, just like how the Browns had to eat half of Baker's.
Yeah, I mean, I know he's getting. I'm willing to bet he gets caught at the end of the season. I don't think
I'll say this: I'm just glad my general manager has been competent enough not to give out dumbass contracts like that.
Oh well, I mean. I see that.
Okay, the Deshaun ones.
I was about to say.
I'm like, you want to check a quarterback real quick?
Real quick. Do want to make
$30 million guaranteed?
Do want to point out, Falcons are on record saying that they would have done the same thing, and the Colts, it came out, would have done the same thing. So it's not just a Cleveland thing, people. It's what people were wanting to do.
But they didn't do it. That's the difference. They didn't do it
because they didn't have an offer good enough.
That's true.
It's where Deshaun wanted to go. So that's what it boiled down to.
To the factory of sadness.
Yeah, the factory of sadness, and I hate that he made that decision.
Yeah, because you're gonna have to live with watching him beat the shit out of the Steelers for the next few years.
I don't know for maybe one game a year because it is Cleveland. Moving on. So, speaking of Pittsburgh, going to the other side of the state, we got to talk about the Philadelphia Eagles taking on the Cardinals. I think this game, once again, I keep saying it says a lot about
Kyler's not for real.
No, he isn't. And keep in mind, Modern Warfare 2 comes out in a couple weeks, so it's gonna be rough. The Eagles have an offense that is designed to, if something's not working, shift to something else.
Yeah, and they have the ability to do that right now. The Eagles are another one of these teams right now that there's not much that's going wrong with the team.
No, absolutely not. Their offense killing it, maybe the best in football. Defense, again, you can hold big plays to a minimum, but the offense. This is a rougher game for the Eagles. This is one of the rougher games that we've played all season.
Mm-hmm. They didn't get right. Obviously Dallas Goedert, but everybody knows this by now. This is the worst kept secret in football. Tight ends run wild against the Cardinals. Everybody knows that. Yeah. But aside from that, they didn't really get their passing game going that much, but they didn't need it because Sanders did enough on the ground. They didn't even really have to go to their backups, but Hurts just took over when he needed to.
Again, this kind of reassert himself as his case for MVP this year. He's looking.
Yeah, Lamar Jackson 2.0 coming right at you.
Well, and here's
this
the thing.
one can actually pass.
Yeah, he can pass now. You couldn't pass before. He can pass now.
And you have right now, you have two quarterbacks. You have Hurts and Murray, who play very, very similar style of ball. One of them has grown, and the other one has not. And that's the big difference.
Well, Kyler Murray, he already hit puberty, so he's not going to grow anymore.
And wasn't he the year after Kyler? He replaced Kyler after Kyler left. Baker, Kyler.
Yep, that's correct. Because Jalen was at
2020
graduate
Bama, and then Yeah, he
Yep.
transferred from Bama. Yep. And look at Hurts. Like Hurts was not considered like a home run prospect coming out. He
Just like
He-
Lamar, they
he was-
were like,
he was
he's going to have to
Taysom-
switch to receiver.
He was Taysom Hill 2.0.
Yep.
Like we all thought he was a Taysom Hill clone. But now,
But-
he's looking like
But the
like
loss is
Frederick.
on everything. It's a team game, not just your defense. Kyler is overrated. Kyler did not deserve that contract that he got. Now,
Oh, yeah.
that is a stupid contract extension.
Agreed.
And they should not have been bullied to take that clause out because his play has shown he don't watch film and he needs to.
Should have kept that clause in.
He's even more one-dimensional than Stafford. A couple people talk about right now. And obviously, this is going to change when Hopkins come back, but it's Hollywood Brown or bust basically with the.
And it was
Chargers.
Hopkins are bust in the past. That's why
Yep.
I didn't believe in it. Like he's shown he ain't worth what he's paid. You know, you want to know who just got paid? A black Baker Mayfield who can actually run a little bit more.
Yep.
But,
Well, I am curious to see though, with Hopkins and Brown on the field, how that team is going to change. Because Hopkins is a game changer. He is. He's legitimately one of the best receivers in football, and Hollywood has stepped up his game quite a bit this year. Actually, I am curious to see if the Cardinals do take a little bit of a leap when they get Hop back.
Also, congratulations to Andy Isabella for finally getting what he's been asking for the last 2 years.
Yep.
As someone who actually went to school with him and talks to his dad, I know he's been trying to get off of that team for the last 2 years. So I'm just congratulations to Andy Isabella. Got out of Cliff's boys system because I've heard a lot about how that organization works and it is horrible.
He's a guy who should potentially, hey, Aaron Rodgers, hi, I can be your new best friend.
Yeah, because apparently, even though it was reported he signed with Baltimore, he's still not officially on Baltimore.
Right.
Yeah, we'll see.
But Baltimore also is another team that really could use him.
The
So
Cardinals did have a chance to tie this game, but replacement kicker Matt Amendola went wide, guaranteeing Matt Prater another 10 years of job security.
Matt Amendola is going to wind up playing for like 10 different teams by the end of the year.
Probably. Moving on to Sunday night's prime time, we got AFC North football, Bengals versus Ravens. And in classic AFC North ball fashion, this game was ugly.
Hey, Chance,
Ugly.
what have we said the last 2 weeks? What's the worst division in football?
It might be us now.
Yes, sir. Yes,
We're in
it
the
is.
conversation. It might be us.
Because it's different teams looking for stupid ways to lose. That's what this is.
Like this game on Cincinnati's part, this was Taylorism at its finest.
Mm-hmm. See, the last year, it's widespread across the league. People who shouldn't be getting extensions are getting extensions. Zach Taylor got an extension because of the Super Bowl run.
Right.
Oh, gross.
I thought that was one of the dumbest things ever because you don't re-sign a coach who only won you 3 games total before last year to a contract extension based off of a run.
It was a run on adrenaline too. Like that was the Bengals were all adrenaline last year.
And your line is somehow worse, and you just spent all this money.
That's the really crazy thing. They spent money to improve it, and it looks worse.
On this line, it somehow got worse.
Yeah.
Joe Burrow. If he's not forcing it to Jamar, he's got to throw it to T, and T got hurt last week, so he didn't have him this week. So
Lamar again. This Lamar Jackson is a feast or famine quarterback. Mm-hmm. Either he's really great or he struggles hardcore.
He struggled hardcore.
He struggled hardcore.
This was a struggle game.
This is a struggle game. Again, he kind of took a backseat. Looking like up to this point, he was looking like the he kind of took a backseat. I think Josh Allen's in the lead right now.
I think
Jalen might be ahead of him. Jalen might be ahead of him at this point.
Yeah, ahead of him right now.
Yeah.
Even when the team struggles, he's still doing well.
Mm-hmm.
But Baltimore has the most reliable player in football in Justin Tucker.
And MVP of the game, this man right here, Justin Tucker.
That man's going to be the Tom Brady of kickers. He's going to be kicking till
he already is. He already is.
I just mean like he's going to be kicking till he's 50 in that regard.
Yep.
Like,
so he's going to be Adam Vinatieri 2.0.
He's been in the league. I'm trying to remember 2006 or 7. I want to say was his rookie year. He's been in there for a hell of a long time, and I don't see him going anywhere soon. And he's kicking further than he ever did.
Yeah, like it's weird. Like it's only getting better.
he is 32. His first year was 2012, so 10 years.
10 years.
Okay.
And like he's only kicking. He can go for a long time.
He's incredible. Like when push comes to shove, you don't often hear too many special teams players going Hall of Fame, let alone first ballot. That is a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Like, I can't recall last time I heard like a kicker being a first ballot, but yeah, Justin Tucker is
first ballot Hall of Famer.
And you know what? I want Justin Tucker to do the halftime show for Super Bowl one year. Bring out Justin Tucker.
Just bring out the strongest leg kickers and let's see who can kick it the furthest.
Justin Tucker can sing too. Like that's the other thing.
What?
Legit, like he sings like opera and shit, man, and he's good.
I'm learning.
I did not know this.
Like people watching, go look up Justin Tucker singing. It's fucking incredible. I want Justin Tucker to do a whole halftime show. Moving on to our last game. This was easily our game of the week.
What a wild game.
Raiders versus Chiefs.
Holy hell, that was a wild game.
Yeah, this is a game that looked like a runaway early. The Raiders at one point were up 17-0.
Nothing.
But you know this team and you know this coach. They're going to fuck it up somehow. What a shocker. Now defense regresses, and the Chiefs decide to finally wake up. They come back to go up in the game 20-24. Fourth quarter, though, this is where shit gets crazy. Raiders managed to put the game within 1. Chiefs then score another touchdown. Travis Kelce with the strangest stat line. He had 7 receptions for 25 yards and 4 TDs.
He Al Bundy'd it.
He literally did Al Bundy it. Here's where well, first of all, we got to talk about this before we get into anything. Speaking of bad roughing calls,
this one was the worst one of all time.
I agree with Matt.
Where Derek Carr, where he goes back, he strips sacked
by
Chris
is
Jones.
In his hands.
But here's the problem: this legitimate sack was also called roughing the passer.
The ball was in his hands.
Funny thing though, this is not the first time the Chiefs, mainly Chris Jones, have been called on a bad roughing call. Flashback to this play in the 2019 AFC title game, where this play was called roughing the passer. What did Chris Jones do? Oh, he dared to touch Tom Brady's shoulder. Oh, the humanity! I don't know how he even played the rest of the game at that point. But yeah, so that did give him a couple yards. But again, keep in mind, so this is towards the end of the game. They are driving to score. They're driving to score to tie it up. They do score, but here's where the idiocy comes in. Rather than kick the extra point, tie the game, they decided to go for 2 to put themselves up, and they fail.
Spectacularly.
Badly. I just don't understand, because it's not like you're going to be going up by 4. Not like if you were going up by 4 and you were going to force them to drive down the length of the field, score a touchdown, I'd understand. But you're still going to be up by 1. They can still win the game via field goal. So your defense is going to have to go out there and get a stop anyway. What the fuck was the point?
And there was still there was almost 4 minutes left, right around 4 minutes left when they scored. Yeah.
There was still plenty of time. I don't understand. I don't understand this decision making.
I'm just dumbfounded at this point, and the fact that who was it? Troy Aikman on the broadcast said the
analytics said
made the
analytics said to go for it.
No. There's someone made a comment about the refs need to take off the dress. Yes.
Yeah,
that it's like whoa.
But I don't understand because if this would have put you up by again. Say you do it, you get it, you're up by 4, I'd get it. But to only be up by 1, dude, it's too fucking risky. Die the game. Especially against the Chiefs, one of the most high-powered offenses in football.
And the fact that Devontae Adams tripped on his other receiver, just Oh,
Yeah,
run
so,
throw.
again, they do get a stop. They get the ball back. On a fourth down, though, when Josh Jacobs was having himself a game, they could not stop this dude to save their lives.
Josh Jacobs had the best game of his NFL career.
He did.
Statistically, yeah.
They
run
decided.
the ball! Run the ball!
Yeah, I mean, like again, they learned no. They learned
Final
no.
play. You got to run the ball. Again, 1 yard. You need 1 yard. Run the ball. Run the ball. All he has to do is run the football. God dang it, run the dang ball. Run the ball.
I will say.
I mean, they did not watch Thursday night football because they would have known to run that.
Well, they probably fell asleep.
Probably. But yeah, again, you get with a 1 yard. All you need to do is get in a field goal range and you win the game. You have Daniel Carlson, one of the better kickers in the league.
Mm-hmm.
Why the fuck are you trying to throw a Hail Mary in which your two receivers collide? It was painful.
bad.
Yeah, the Raiders lose the game in one of the most Raiders fashions I've seen.
Yeah, absolutely. That was a
And
Raiders
then
loss. There was one.
pushes down a
He
camera.
pushed
Oh,
down
my.
like a random boom mic operator.
And so, did you see his like?
He's like, yeah,
he did.
he walked in front of me.
Yeah, he did immediately go and apologize for it, but was blaming the guy as he was apologizing.
Yeah, it was strange. But yeah,
I'm sure he's going to have a fine, if not a suspension. I'm assuming at
Then
least a fine.
the NFL is looking into it about if they should give him this fine.
At least a fine.
yeah. So the Raiders now drop to 1-4 in a division that is they desperately need to keep a hold of.
Which, correct me if I'm
try.
wrong, but if the season ended today, wouldn't they be picking second overall in the draft?
Let me check on that.
It's either second or third, I think.
I want to say you're right.
Second, I think.
I think it's second. I think it's actually Pittsburgh won.
No,
Raiders.
it's Washington one. They're picking third.
Washington won. Okay, and then Pittsburgh two.
Washington, Pittsburgh, Raiders.
Yep.
The Raiders are probably damn happy they didn't have to give up 2 firsts for Devontae.
Yeah.
But now, if the Raiders stay on this trajectory, do they just say fuck it and pick up a quarterback and you just gave Derek that extension?
Not after they just gave Card extension.
Hey, you can't say no because of what kind of league we're in. Putting Carr on an extension makes him a very tradable and attractive asset.
That's true, but still, I think maybe take a QB like next year, or like in the last year of his deal.
Well, if they're in position to get one of the top dogs this year, I think you got to do it.
Maybe we'll see
Let me
how that
see.
shakes out. But that's our week 5 wrap up. We now move on to our week 6 predictions. Starting out, first of all, we got to talk about teams who are on a bye week. Byes this week have the Lions, the Titans, the Raiders, and the Texans. Only one of these teams are going to the bye week in a good mood, and it is the Texans somehow. Somehow, it is the Texans. Moving on, Thursday Night Football. Amazon, I don't know who organized your contracts, but you need to fire them immediately because your game this week is the Commanders versus the Bears.
To be fair, this has been every Thursday night football game for the last few years.
Because every team is obligated to play one Thursday night game at least. But what I don't get, like in this circumstance, the Thursday night games, just make them division games. At least they're more exciting that way.
Yeah.
But I will not be watching this game. Like I said, I'll be watching Halloween Kills. So I will be
I'll be seeing Empire of Light.
I'm going to say this one. Jeez, this could wind up being some stupid shootout. I don't know. Like I'm going to just throw a dart and say the Commanders win. If the Bears win, it's not a surprise.
I'm leaning Bears.
I'm leaning Bears, and I also want to see Justin Fields continue to build off of what he did this past week and maybe actually throw a passing touchdown in there, because if they start passing it like 20 times a game and he's completing 15, he's no longer on pace to throw the least amount of passes in NFL history. That is not something I need an Ohio State quarterback to have on the resume.
All right. Sunday slate starts off with the 49ers versus the Falcons.
49ers.
One of the easiest. The 49ers is one of the easiest ones of the week for me.
This one could be very interesting. We got the Patriots versus the Browns.
Patriots.
Really?
If it weren't for how our run defense has been the last 2 weeks, I'd say the Browns. But The Patriots
Stevenson.
is just going to run the ball down our throat unless we can figure out how to stop it. It's just going to be
plays the way he did in the second
At
half.
the same time, though, I think that Chubb is a better back against.
Oh, by far.
I do also, but I also
against like a defense like not great against the run either.
Yeah, but at the same time, they have a good passing defense, and Jacoby Brissett, while he's been serviceable, unless it's Amari Cooper or David Njoku, and outside of the away
Peoples
game,
Jones maybe.
Peoples Jones has been the away games wide out, but otherwise it's Njoku or Cooper, and then Hunt. But normally Hunt's they get him involved in play action, fake runs, things like that, and it's if you're already good against the run, you're able to pick up on a play action play like that easy. So I don't like the matchup. I trust me, I want the Browns. I'm not rooting against them, but
I'm going to go with the Browns, though. I am going to take the Browns for the pure reason this is a game that will be close. I think this is going to go down pretty close to the wire. I do think, though, there's a little bit more desperation on the Browns side, and they're going to try to hold on to the ball. Chubb will get a lot in this game. They are going to make sure that they don't give Belichick opportunities. They're going to game manage Brissett. It's not going to be the prettiest game. It's going to be a in the trenches kind of game of football. I got the Browns winning probably by like 3.
I also got the Browns winning. I think it's gonna be close, but I got the Browns winning. Mark this day. I'm taking the Browns, and you're not.
You're a better man than me.
Next.
But then again, I think I've just been burned too much this year.
Mike, we got your boys coming up. We got the Jets taking on the Packers.
I got the
So
Jets.
listen, I have picked against the Jets every week this year. I have not picked them once. There's receipts on this. I have not picked them once.
There are receipts. We do have receipts.
Again, there's 2 key factors to this game. Both of them involve the Packers, and it's how are they going to rebound? A, it's coming from the London game, and B, is this going to be pissed off Aaron Rodgers? And I just have a feeling this is the pissed off Aaron Rodgers who's going to throw 5 touchdowns game. I'm going to pick the Packers. It's in Green Bay. This is the pissed off Aaron Rodgers game.
I got the Jets.
It's coming.
I can't.
I hope you're right.
because of who his receivers are. I got the Jets because I'm going to be honest. I don't trust his receivers outside of Dobbs,
and that's the thing. I don't. The receivers are one thing, but Jones and Dillon, if they use them, you saw what Mostert did to the Jets this week, and Rodgers is going to be very strategic. He's going to be throwing it over the middle. I think honestly, Tunyon is the one who's going to be on the Packers, who's going to get the most because he's not going to look at the wideouts because they're going to have Sauce Gardner and DJ Reed on them.
Right. Next game, we got this
who
one.
Do you got? Wait, who do you got?
Sorry, didn't say it. I got the Packers. Yeah, I think they can play off the. I think they play off the run game, and because like I said, they have to, and I think they're going to learn from their mistakes. They're going to incorporate the run more this time around. So yeah, I got the Packers.
I hope the Jets win, obviously, but I just don't see it.
All right. Up next, we got the Jaguars versus Colts, which is interesting. This is the second time these 2 teams have played in the first 6 weeks.
Jaguars because they seem to have the Colts number.
I agree with this one.
Here's the thing: they have the Colts number at Duval
in Jacksonville. That is true.
In Indy, Colts have played pretty well there.
Yeah, but at the same time, they still nearly choked it away last time they played in Indy.
And Jacksonville's pass rush completely disrupted Matt Ryan last time.
I am still taking Jacksonville, but I don't think it's going to be like the blowout we saw in week 2.
No, they're going to score at least.
Up next, we got the Vikings versus the Dolphins. I'm wondering, is Tua still in concussion protocol at this point?
Yes, he is.
They said there's a chance. There's a chance he plays, and this is a game. Yeah, I don't know if I want to make this pick today. I want to make this pick on Sunday morning based on who's actually playing.
Yeah, if Tua play, I'm taking the Dolphins.
Well,
and Tyreek's also questionable. Yeah, Tyreek's the other question mark. So if both of them are out, I got the Vikings easy. But if both of them are playing, I think I go Dolphins.
If one of them's out, I got the Vikings easy. I think the Vikings scheme-wise are more likely to come out on top here.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Justin Jefferson's just totally dominant. That's what it boils down to.
At the same time, though, but they're gonna have to use Xavier Howard if they want to stop Jefferson in this game. Because Darius Slay can do it. Xavier Howard can lock him down.
Yeah.
Great.
I'm taking Vikings right now again. But
Right now, it's Vikings.
If Tua and Tyreek play, it's a completely different thing.
Yeah, I might be changing that pick on Sunday morning based on who's active, but right now it's Vikings.
Up next, we got Bengals versus Saints.
Give me the Saints. Give me the Saints.
I don't know.
I don't trust the Bengals. I was counting on them to have a downslide this year. Everybody called me crazy.
This is the ugly high-scoring game this week.
Yeah,
this could be turnover central.
Yeah.
I could see this easily. Each team's being in the high 20s in this game. Very slightly going towards the Bengals, but it's going to be closer than it should be.
I also have Andy Dalton playing in this, and I have a feeling he wants to just go off on Cincy. So
the Andy Dalton revenge game.
We saw what happened last time Andy Dalton played Cincy. He owned that team. So yeah, I'm also taking the Saints on this one. Ravens versus Giants, a game that could be surprisingly competitive. How both teams played recently.
This is my toss-up right now, if I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah, it's like bizarrely it's a toss-up. I'm leaning Ravens on this one.
I'm going Ravens. The Giants are due an implosion game coming back from England. Kind of on a little bit of a high right now after the Green Bay win. I think that they're going to come in and not have the game plan. Lamar is going to run wild in this game. I got the Ravens.
See, my issue here is if Bateman isn't back, I'm taking the Giants because the Baltimore has the same issue as the Browns, and that is fourth quarter collapses.
Yep, that's true. I do believe Bateman is expected. That now, obviously, that's subject to change, but they're expecting him back this week, if I'm not mistaken.
It's questionable. Even without Marcus Williams, who is now on injury reserve for a couple of weeks now.
Yep.
I still think between Marcus Peters, Marlon Humphrey, and Kyle Hamilton, who's doing really well.
See, but the Ravens haven't been good against the run, and Saquon's been doing really well. That's what I'm saying.
See, that's a good point. That is a fair point.
They're gonna have to force him to run it a lot, and I'm not sure Saquon can hold up.
See, I think he can hold up, but I also think you set yourself up for a lot of play action passes, which have also been a weakness for the Ravens. So, with that in mind, there's how they can scheme this game, and that the Giants' best player on offense seems to cover the weaknesses of the Ravens. That's why I'm like, I just feel more comfortable picking the Giants here.
I mean, I don't think I'd call it a massive upset if they win, but I still lean the Ravens.
I'm leaning Ravens too. Now we got my boys up on the dock. We got the Buccaneers versus the Steelers.
Buccaneers. I'm sorry, Chance.
The Bucs defense is too good for this current Steelers offense. Buccaneers take this one pretty handily.
Let me explain. Okay, you didn't hear last week because we didn't show last week. Let me tell you something about Steeler football. We somehow we didn't do it last week, but we'll find a way to win when things don't look great. We're going to hold Tampa Tom to 200 yards.
Not with a rookie quarterback, bro.
You know what? Kenny Pickett is going to throw 3 touchdowns in this game. Calling it out. He's going to have his emergence. He's going to have his big boy game at this moment, and he is going to beat the Buccaneers. Pittsburgh all the way.
I got a question. Are those touchdowns going to be pick sixes? Because that's what I think you mean.
He's going to throw touchdown passes to his receivers, and it's going to happen. Pittsburgh all the way.
I got Bucks by 10.
I got Bucks by 14.
Ridiculous.
Yo, here's the thing. If they didn't just get manhandled by the Bills defense, it'd be a different story. But the Bucks defense is almost as good as the Bills defense, and the Bills defense
top 5.
manhandled them.
They're top 5.
Steelers by 4 touchdowns. Here we go. Panthers versus the Rams.
This is the Rams recovery game.
Happens again.
This is the bounce back game of all bounce back games.
The Rams win here because they have to, and they have no.
Stafford throws 4 touchdowns in this game. It's the game he needs.
Look, if the Falcons couldn't beat the Rams team, the Panthers and Steve Wilkes ain't doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I also do have the Rams. Got another Bird Bowl coming up this week. Cardinals versus Seahawks. And this is
Seahawks.
actually a lot closer than I thought.
Yeah, this could be an exciting game, honestly.
Yo, they still
Get
calling
Will
Geno
Dissly in your
Smith and he
fantasy
ain't calling
lineups.
back. They're still calling Geno and he ain't calling back. I'm going with Geno, Philly cheesesteak Smith, and the Seahawks.
Oh damn! Okay, so Geno Smith.
I'm
I'm also leaning Seahawks.
I'm going Seahawks. Yeah, I'm gonna go Seahawks. And like I said, Will Dissly, 2 touchdowns. I'm calling it right now.
Now this next game, I think it's very well could be our game of the week next week. We got Bills versus the Chiefs. Rematch of maybe the greatest playoff game I've ever seen.
Is anybody going to be paying any attention to the other 2 late slate games? This is the game to watch.
This is the game. This is the one. I wish this was prime time, honestly.
I agree.
I got the Bills in this one.
I have the Bills too, because you want to know why? Patrick Mahomes don't have Tyreek Hill III, or it's a safety net no more.
You got Travis Kelce though.
That's
a pretty damn good safety net.
Tyreek Hill was the reason they won that playoff game. That's why I say this.
I'm gonna go with Buffalo, but I believe this is good. I'm gonna double check this right now. I believe this is what was expected, at least as of now, to be the highest over under the NFL season. I think this is a good. I'm double checking that right now. It's in the 60s. I'm pretty certain.
I take the over on that, honestly.
I do too. This is going to be a ping pong match. What is it? I'm pulling that up right now. We are at Buffalo is actually the favorite, even though it is in Kansas City, and it's 54. Take the over.
Take the over. All right, Sunday night prime time. We got NFC East football: Cowboys versus Eagles. Now, I said I had a bold prediction for this one. Micah Parsons is not going to get a single sack in this game. He is not going to get a single sack.
All right, I'm kind of on board with that.
If he couldn't sack Daniel Jones or Carson Wentz, he's not touching Jalen Hurts. He's not even going to breathe on Jalen Hurts.
So for this game, it's in Philly.
It is in Philly.
I'm going to go with Philly because I don't think the Cooper Rush offense can keep up with what the Eagles are going to put on the board.
I'm very curious though if Dak comes back. Even if Dak comes back, I'm taking Philly, but it could be interesting if he does.
I was about to say, with the rumors that it's possible Dak comes back this week, part of me wants to give the Cowboys a chance. However,
if Dak comes back,
defense has been just as good as
so under the radar too. Like they're not getting the praise that some of these other great defenses are, but they've been playing damn good. I mean, the game against the Cardinals this week was probably the weakest game they played.
Mm-hmm.
Up to that point, the Eagles have had one of the best defenses, very quietly under the radar. Sneaky good defense.
QB who's just coming back, that's always lick your chop moments. So if Dak is back, I'm leaning heavily towards Philly. But what I'm very curious about is the Dallas defense going to be able to shut down this offensive machine that's been Philly?
I think so. Because Jalen is he's showing right now that he can, he's shifted his game plan in multiple games and done it very smartly. If they, Dallas is a team you can throw against. This could be a big Devontae Smith and AJ Brown game.
Yeah. So what are you going with, Matt?
I said Eagles.
Eagles? Okay, so we're all Eagles.
We're all Eagles.
And last game, Monday night. Guess who's back on prime time?
Oh, the Denver Broncos.
Yes, for the fourth time in 6 weeks, we are subject to watch the Denver Broncos play a primetime game.
And not only that, there's no Manning cast.
And, oh, God. Miserable. Okay, yeah, but Broncos are playing the Chargers on Monday night. I got the Chargers, no question.
I got the Chargers, but the Chargers haven't been playing great football either, so it could still be a shootout depending on how Russ plays.
Are you kidding me? Have you seen the offense of the Broncos? Maybe low scoring.
There have been a few games.
The Broncos couldn't have a shootout in a Nerf arena.
I got the Chargers. by more than a touchdown.
Yeah, I also got the Chargers. Matt?
I'm still picking the Chargers, but I was just trying to play devil's advocate.
Like,
Allow me to play devil's advocate.
They would have to play better than the mixed competitive. They have to play better than they have in every single one of the last games combined. That's how well they have to play to beat this team. That's going to do it for another episode of Left Side, Strong Side. Matt, do you want to get our plugs before we head out? Or sorry, you want to give your plugs before we head out? Where can people find you?
So for those who haven't watched what we used to do over at Watt Real Entertainment, we just ended Spin from the Real. We had Chance on for that last episode out of the blue. I was just like, oh yeah, I can have Chance on. Let me ask Chance if he wants to pop on in. But that was our flagship show for a while. We've started to move on. We're still figuring how exactly it's going to continue going about, but you can follow us on Twitch at twitch.tv/WattRealEnt, which is WattReelent. Our YouTube is the same thing, youtube.com/WattRealEnt. I do movie reviews there. So does Taylor from time to time. My review for Halloween Kills comes out Thursday at 3 p.m., which is not a good sign because that one is when the embargo lifts. Yeah. So, but I have a review for that coming out this week. I have the new Hulu film Rosalind, the one with Caitlin Dever, however you say her last name, and she is Juliet's cousin, and it's Romeo and Juliet. So that's going to be an interesting watch. I'm actually doing that after this. I think we're going to be Jeff and I sometime in the future are going to be doing in the next week actually a Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power season in review because we did the first 2 episodes and we saw it on the big screen. So of course you gotta talk about that. And yeah, I'm just reviewing, having talks, doing some real talks. October 16th, Taylor and Connor come back from Really Scared. Please tune in for that. That will decide the future of the show. They want audience engagement. They want they want a nice audience, people engaging. If you're there for that, there's a good chance the show keeps going. And I love for that show to come back because that was our flagship show before Spin from the Real popped off. So.
All right. Yeah. Thank you. I want to thank you once again for joining us here today. Mike, where can people find you?
Well, you can find me here every Tuesday, except for next week because I will be on vacation. But you can find me here on Tuesday nights. On Wednesday nights, you can find me on What the Show. Tomorrow, we actually are doing a no format show, which usually go completely off the rails. And I will plug and potentially the 2 people on screen right now are both going to be invited for this on October the 28th, which is a Friday night. We are going to do a super long stream to celebrate our 2-year anniversary.
All right. And you can find me on Twitter, Instagram at ChanceForce_91. Check out my podcast I do on the side, Notorious by Chance. We are getting ready to start our annual Scare Fest, which we go and watch a bunch of horror movies. Starting with our theme this year is the Monster Mash. We're starting with watching The Lost Boys, which is our vampire film for the year. And here, of course, you have me, Left Side Strong Side, every Tuesday. Mike is not joining with me, but I already got a good replacement house for him. And of course, you can find the PJ Campbell Show. We are trying to figure out our schedule for this week, but we did just have a fun one a few days ago where we did have the last call, the Smart on Writers Room of PLD. And then we did string the horror Hunger Games on him, which that was great. Go back and watch that. If you want to see PJ rant about Chucky for like a good 5 minutes, that was great. But yeah. Thank you all for watching, and we will see you next week.
Holy shit! Stop being weird, nigga!